You applied to hundreds of places. You crafted a perfect resume. You found the right references. You polished your LinkedIn profile just like the career experts, those know-it-all HR consultants, told you to. Nights, days, months you waited on those portals. You upload your resume, then the machine asks you to manually type the exact same information into 40 different boxes, one by one. You do it all. You bow your head and obey. And still, not a single real human response, right? Just an automated email. We've decided to move forward with another candidate. Every time you read that, you look in the mirror and think, is there something wrong with me? Did I write my CV wrong? Am I not good enough? Maybe I'm not qualified enough for this position. You start doubting yourself, questioning all your experience, your education, everything you've done until that day. That's exactly how they want you to feel. The thing pushing you into this psychological pit isn't your inadequacy or anything. The problem is not you. Your CV is perfectly fine. Your experience matches that long wish list in the job posting exactly. You know what the problem is? There is no seat for you at that desk, in that luxurious plaza office, at that shiny company. In fact, there never was. They pulled you into a lie. We call this the silent purge. And before your tired soul even hears it, this corporate machine is slowly, mercilessly erasing you and millions of hopeful people just like you. By the end of this video, you'll see why big tech and finance companies keep posting fake jobs for months even though they'll never hire you. You'll understand how that so-called amazing artificial intelligence has already taken over the position you thought was indispensable. And if you don't break those corporate slavery codes in your mind right now, this second, you'll learn in all its disgusting nakedness without the slightest censorship why you won't survive this coming great purge. I'm not going to give you some cheap career advice here. No nonsense like which font to use on your resume to impress HR is coming from me. That era is over. Take the traditional advice and throw it in the trash. We're at war now. Open your mind and face the brutal truth. You turn on the TV, the news, mainstream financial media, economic bulletins scream every morning. The economy is booming. There's a huge labor shortage. Tech giants are desperate for talent. Salaries are rising. You go on LinkedIn, refresh job sites, and sure enough, thousands of shiny new job postings appear every day. Senior analyst wanted. Marketing director wanted. The postings stay up for days. But if the system is so perfect, if the economy is rocketing, if everyone is desperately hiring, then why is a suffocating, breathless feeling of unemployment and inadequacy gripping the global middle class by the throat? Why can't even graduates from so-called Ivy League universities with the highest honors get a single interview with HR for 6 months? The answer is cruel, devilish, and very simple. Ghost jobs, the fake job posting trap. More than half of those prestigious corporate job postings you scroll through on sleepless nights, spending hours writing company-specific cover letters at 3 a.m., are actually for positions that don't exist. When you look at the survey data from independent research firms who recently interviewed hiring managers completely anonymously, your blood will run cold. 70% of managers admitted they keep their job postings up for months, even years, even when they're not actively looking for anyone at all. They keep them up, and they direct the hundreds of thousands of CVs they receive straight into a giant digital trash bin. But why? That's the real question. Why are trillion-dollar companies wasting money, paying for postings on platforms, playing that interview game that keeps you up at night, stringing along millions of people? Why do they feel the need to create such a massive illusion? Because this theater, orchestrated by the elitist architects at the very top of the system, has 3 different, incredibly sinister goals. Goal number 1, to tame the silent majority inside. To keep absolute control over those current employees who don't speak up, whose salaries are being crushed by inflation day by day, yet tremble with the fear of losing their jobs. Think about it. You work in a department. You're doing the work of 5 people all by yourself. 2 people quit and nobody was hired. You're fuming, at the peak of burnout syndrome, about to write your resignation letter. Then you see a job posting on your company's website. Your manager turns to you and says with, Hang in there. You see, we posted the job. I got the budget approved. We'll find the best talent from outside. Just grit your teeth a little longer. Help is on the way. And you naively get your hopes up. Months pass, and that help never comes. Because that job posting wasn't for the millions of desperate people outside. That posting was opened just for you, to motivate you, to keep you at your desk. They use you to scare and tame the slave inside. Fake job postings are the cheapest, most manipulative way in the world to pile 3 people's work onto one person. The second, much darker goal is the Wall Street illusion, the cold manipulation of the stock market and financial ecosystem. Public companies must constantly sell the lie of growth to those ruthless investors, giving cold-blooded hedge fund managers the signal that we're growing fast, we dominate the market, our operations are expanding so much we're constantly hiring new people, is the fundamental key to artificially inflating their stock value. Even if a company is shrinking, even if it's bleeding, it has to pretend it's expanding like crazy. Otherwise, its stock would crash 30% in a single day, and the CEO wouldn't get their multi-million-dollar guaranteed bonus check at the end of the year. Fake job postings are a company's free marketing department, the "we are strong" image. The third goal is data harvesting. The most valuable gold today is data. Those companies open thousands of fake job postings to measure your skill set, your competitors' skill sets, the lowest salary expectations the market is willing to accept, and the pulse of the industry. They use you as a guinea pig. Sometimes they even schedule fake job interviews just to gauge the extent of desperation in the market. What's more, those hundreds of thousands of perfectly written CVs you send are free fuel to train the artificial intelligence HR software they're developing internally. They're training the algorithm that will screen you out, using the very words you wrote just because you applied to that job. You're sharpening your own executioner's sword with your own hands. Please get this through your thick skull. In the eyes of those corporate titans, those suited barons, you are not a sought-after talent, a value, or a new member to join the family. You are just a free statistic outside that companies use to inflate their market valuations. Your resume is just a slide of active posting volume they show at investor meetings, part of the stock market game. Every time you hit that apply button, their stock price goes up another cent, and that stock does not belong to you. But wait, fake postings, stock market manipulation, stalling tactics. Trust me, what I just described was just the cute showcase part of this evil story. The truly dark, blood-curdling, terrifying operation has already begun, and you're so asleep you don't even feel it. The real war isn't in those fancy meeting rooms, it's happening in the back room, where artificial intelligence is being seated directly at the management table. What would companies do in a crisis, say 10 or 20 years ago, in the classic industrial era? When there was a contraction, a cost crisis, they'd throw thousands of people out the door all at once in a single day. A classic Black Monday would happen. News broadcasts would show crying people leaving buildings with cardboard boxes. But the elites quickly realized what a huge public relations mistake that was. These mass purges created too much empathy. They riled up unions, caused scandals in the media, made noise. What's more, when you fired thousands of people in one go, investors on the stock market would think, this company is in a big panic. The ship must be taking on water. Let's sell the stock immediately. And the stock would crash. You know how they're carrying out this revolution now? By pressing the pillow directly onto the face of the middle class, so no screams are heard, so no one rebels, suffocating them step by step. They've given it a very clean, very fancy name in boardrooms. What did Mark Zuckerberg say for Meta last year? The year of efficiency. Remember that board memo you got on your corporate email? Organizational restructuring. Sounds so sterile and scientific, doesn't it? The practical meaning of their statements is exactly this. When someone resigns, goes on maternity leave, changes careers, or is quietly fired under the guise of those supposedly magical, fabricated performance issues, their vacated desk is never, ever filled with a new person. That desk's computer is unplugged, the monitor is put in storage, and right in the middle of all the copywriting, data analysis, code review, market research, and logistics tracking that person used to do, piling up from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening every day, a massive automation is installed. A new AI algorithm that analyzes billions of data cells per second with incredible accuracy, never gets tired on Friday nights, doesn't know what overtime pay is, doesn't form unions, never asks for a raise, doesn't require health insurance, doesn't challenge the boss's ego. That algorithm is brought directly online. The leftover bits requiring minor physical or emotional intelligence, the parts not yet solved robotically, are then forced onto the beaten down employee inside, who's ready to sell their soul because they're afraid of getting fired. Onto you. Executives used to market AI as a tool. For years, you listened to that sweet fairy tale. Don't worry, AI won't take your job. Someone using AI will take your job. Lie. It's a blatant consolation lie. AI was designed to devour all the intermediaries. The founder of the Swedish buy now, pay later giant Klarna came out a few months ago and said exactly this. Our AI assistant does the work of exactly 700 full-time human customer service representatives all by itself. See, firing 700 people in one day is big news and would lead to strikes. What did Klarna do? They didn't fire them all at once. They just said they were freezing hiring. People left through natural attrition, and none of those 700 seats were ever filled again. They permanently wiped out those jobs. Another example, IBM. The company's CEO stated completely openly that they are suspending hiring for approximately 7,800 back office, HR, and accounting positions, jobs AI can easily do in the coming years, announcing a complete hiring freeze. 7,800 people, that's the population of a small town, evaporated from a single company with a single announcement. You think this is some kind of conspiracy theory? Take a look at the public data. Every quarter when big tech companies announce their earnings, Amazon, Apple, Meta, major banking institutions, they all break record after record for the highest profits in history. Their revenues are through the roof. The system is printing money like crazy without a care. But at the same time, look at their total employee counts at those exact same moments. The global white-collar workforce is shrinking at a faster rate than ever before in history, in chunks of millions. Now use your rational mind and think, how can these two things happen simultaneously? Business is growing, revenue is increasing massively, markets are expanding, but the number of people doing the work is decreasing? That's the exact name of this monstrous mechanism, the silent purge. They're not just temporarily cutting costs, it's called structural cost elimination. The billionaires and CEOs at the top of the corporate world have already made their decision. The hiring tap will never flow like it did 10 years ago again. We are not in a cyclical contraction. We are at the center of a permanent revolution because they've mathematically proven they will never again pay those high premiums, those commissions for your labor, your vacation days, your motivational shortcomings, and your corporate caprices. Human nature is weak. You get hungry, sleep, get sick. AI is ruthless and infinitely sharp. Shareholders have seen that billion-dollar savings difference. They've tasted that profit margin once. You think they ever want to go back to the old clunky crowd of humans? And you know what the most devilish tactic is? Let me tell you. Quiet firing. They don't tell you directly, you're fired, take your severance and leave. Then they'd have to pay you money. Instead, what do? They impose a return to office mandate. You have to come back to the office 5 days a week. They demand you return to that tiny, cramped cubicle in that plaza 3 hours away from your home, clogged with traffic. Their data analytics knows very well that 20% of employees won't be able to handle it and will quit voluntarily. And when that 20% quits, Guess what happens? They've gotten away without paying a single cent in severance. Your positions get thrown away too. Those jobs get transferred to machines. They've built a perfected algorithm to spit you out of the system by messing with your mental health. They don't cause a rebellion by having you escorted out by security guards in front of TV cameras and headlines. They silently erase you, leaving you breathless in those Zoom meetings that keep you waiting for months. Those meaningless fourth-round interviews, those fake emails saying you were great, but the process has been put on hold, and the bottomless hell of job portals where you'll never find a response. Right now, we are witnessing one of the greatest wealth destructions in history, the collective extinction of the middle class. And you are right in the middle of that eroding, weakening, increasingly impoverished class. And the cliff is getting closer every second. I know. As you listen to these bitter truths, your mind is running that old familiar corporate defense mechanism, that logic drilled into you for years. What do you mean? How can this be extinction? I have a 4-year prestigious degree from a great university. I just finished my master's program. Since elementary school, they told me fairy tales about how studying and getting high grades would completely save my life. I gave years, my brain, my sleep. The system made me this promise. Please, wake up now. The expiration date of that diploma, of those corporate promises made to you, has long passed. Maybe in 1980 or 1995, that piece of paper had some weight. Go to school, be obedient, keep your grades high, stand in line, and we'll give you a secure desk job with a guaranteed 40-year plan and a nice pension. That was the old industrial era's contract. But listen to me, the system has long since sawed off the bottom rungs of that prestigious corporate ladder you've been proudly trying to climb for years. They commanded you to expect a happy ending with a high salary, a glass office overlooking the Bosphorus at a holding company's headquarters. All the movies marketed that to you. But here's the truth. You climbing up is a fantasy. There's no solid ground left to climb on. No one rises to the top based on their skills, their labor, or their humanity anymore. The only discussion is how to most cheaply exploit your hardware within the system's wild macro algorithms. The structure called the education system has long since turned into a massively inflated balloon, an old-school luxury brand selling you very expensive nostalgia. It's called credential inflation. The privilege a high school graduate had 20 years ago is barely attainable by a master's student at a good university today. You sat in those uncomfortable wooden classroom desks for 20 years, 20 whole years. You set the alarm every morning, took countless exams, tests. Throughout the process, you only learned to be an obedient, uniform, uncreative, compliant corporate soldier. Your family spent their hard-earned savings on you without blinking, or you were condemned to paying off debt for decades. You know what all that endless loyalty, that effort to prove yourself, all that pain and sleeplessness amounted to. What did decades of your life turn into? It turned you into a potential personnel cost line item in a cold-hearted fund manager's colorless, dull Excel spreadsheet. A manager who's doubled their profit margin by switching to AI efficiency, marked to be cut at the first second the company needs to show emergency profit. The system has zero respect for your personal drama, your individuality, how many languages you speak, or how dedicated you are. The diploma was the security ticket of the old world, built on lies. But look around you. You're on the shore of a new world run entirely by code. Your ship sank there, and that old paper ticket is definitely not valid in this digital world. So now I'm going to talk to you in a much harsher, much more bitter language. Ready? So what are you going to do now? I won't let them push you into the victim position. Are you really going to go on Twitter and complain, crying, "The system is broken"? Are you going to wait for the system to magically fix itself, for flashy talking politicians to magically support you? Are you dreaming about them passing some law, or are you going to wait for some merciful, pitying HR chief at a holding company to grant you a favor, to reply to that job posting in your email one morning when you wake up? "Please, sir, I speak 2 languages. Did you see my CV? Can you give me a desk?" Begging like a frog chained to the doors of corporate plazas for a lifetime, looking for a savior? Let me tell you the nakedest truth of your life. Listen well. No one is coming to save you. Not the politicians, not the state, not those fancy companies. You're at the bottom of the pit you fell into. It's time to wake up. Feel the cold water splashing on your face. That comfortable, addictive 9 to 6 corporate slavery system where you'd wait like a dog at the door for guaranteed peace and a salary on the 15th of every month for life, it is gone. Broken, destroyed. You will stop being a passive consumer who feeds the system, just clicking on their job postings and waiting right now, this very second, while watching this video. No more begging corporations. No more seeking approval for your talent from others. That era is over forever. This new era is not the era of victims. This era is the era of alpha builders who go into the wild jungle, hunt their own value, build things, and make the system dance on their finger. If you want to emerge from this brutal AI purge, from this hell of fake job postings, without being psychologically and financially crushed, you must urgently, immediately build your own asset, your own digital mega asset. You have no other choice. Of course, those giant corporations might not need your empty, mechanical human labor that just consists of existing at a desk for 8 hours. The 2 lines of code in the machine can do that data entry work you'd need hours for in 3 seconds with 0 errors. They're right. What stupid merchant would want to pay a human $100,000 a year to come through traffic every morning just to give a simple logistic approval that a computer can do in a second? None of them want that. But you know what you've forgotten? You know what companies, the market, ruthless billionaires, and all businesses in the world desperately need? Everyone, always, in every crisis, has a fierce need for those courageous value creators who produce results without excuses, without whining and crying, who solve concrete problems for customers, who increase sales. The world is getting rid of technicians who ask, "How is it done?" but continues to pour money by the truckload into architects who present the vision, "This must be done," and bring solutions. You've been classifying yourself for years as a simple, meek employee, a slave trading time for money. They are looking for autonomous system builders, problem solvers who will add value to their companies. They reward those who create value independent of time. Establish the arbitrage of time. Why are you selling your time? Don't wait for someone to grant you a favor at their desk to choose you from thousands of CVs. That is weakness. Taking your own digital capital, the power of your knowledge, that unique problem-solving ability, and renting it cheaply to a giant corporation under a blind slavery contract, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the best hours of your life, your energy, 40 hours of your week, for pennies to the boss. That, right there, is the very definition of economic suicide. Instead, it's time to build your own empire. Leverage that skill you have, that digital talent. Use the internet, that vast, boundless scaling machine, and sell your skill, your value, directly to the market, to customers on the other side of the world, to end consumers, without intermediary companies. Eliminate those intermediary boards of directors. Instead of shrinking into a corner, trembling with fear, watching that machine, thinking AI will take my job, command that AI like your own personal digital army. Why should it crush your code while you have to expand its limits? Today, you can sit alone in your room, integrate the right AI tools and software, simulate an entire logistics, marketing, or accounting department that used to cost a company huge budgets and 5 people to manage. Make it autonomous and sell that priceless service by solving companies' problems directly. Don't be their employee. Be their indispensable digital supplier, the most critical problem solver of their machine. Be you. There are 2 huge paths ahead of you, and there's no turning back from this crossroads. Either you become that faded statistic, energy spent, tired of protesting, rejected and buried in history, begging, "Hire me, please give me a chance. Why aren't you replying to my CV?" at those fake corporate digital doors, drowning in debt as one of the exhausted ordinary masses. Or you become the architect of a legendary, autonomous, free, and independent empire where you write the code, you set the rules, and your salary is not determined by approval, but rewarded in cash from the customer for the result. You are an alpha. You don't need that plastic desk, that cheap salary bonus, that poisonous corporate gossip. Code your own game, build your own table, and hack this damn system directly from the outside. All cards are on the table. The system is exposed. The fraud is right in front of your eyes. Now the decision is entirely yours. Are you going to be the victim or the hunter?